Good afternoon, Professor, or whatever the case may be. Let's get this secondary camera rolling, just as safeguard. Have a seat here. Better angle. So I just finished watching the TED Talk by John Pallotta, who has raised nearly $1 billion for AIDS research. I think it was some $800 million he raised in the nonprofit sector for HIV research. Being gay, I feel that he obviously has a passion for that, and we learn that we're supposed to pursue things that we take passion in, so we can better tell our story and sell it to the public. Even though it is non-profit, we are still selling something. That being said, as an aspiring curator, it is often hard for me to find interest in these humanitarian efforts that we're learning about in class oftentimes. I call it the Malthusian in me, but it's just not very interesting, and it's not germane to what I am trying to do. However, I did find it very interesting that he mentioned essentially we have to mimic the for-profit companies in order to be successful in the nonprofit arena. That being said, it is conducive for us to actually spend more money in fundraising in order to procure, obviously, the funds. If we don't have a strong fundraising campaign, then simply we're not going to reach enough target audience in order to procure these funds. Fundraising brings about new benefactors. In turn, it'll bring more funds to one's cause. That was probably the biggest takeaway for the video for me. I did enjoy some of the historical components as well that he touched upon about the Puritans. It is interesting that he contended that the Puritans are essentially the catalyst for the nonprofit industry, or sector rather, in the sense that they would obtain penance through making money by donating. So if they were donating, they wouldn't be sinful. I didn't really like, however, how he seemed to focus upon how the Puritans left more for financial reasons as opposed to religious persecution. I feel as though, since he's a homosexual, he seemed to have to mention that to us right off the bat, which kind of was akin, or reminded me of the In Living Color skit with Jim Carrey when Jim was like, "You know I'm gay," and he was announcing it to everybody. It's like you have to announce it to everybody. I feel as though that was some way of him showing the audience that he's a caring and self-righteous person. You know, it seems self-righteous rather to me. I digress. Back to the Puritans. He mentioned that essentially the Puritan sect was an onlet of the Cathars. Well, in 1208, during the reign of Pope Innocent III, one of the most tyrannical popes in history, almost a despot in essence, with his interdicts and his power, he launched the Albigensian Crusade in 1208, which some scholars say resulted in the death of 1 million Cathars. So Puritans, they were escaping possible religious persecution. They weren't able to have the religious rights that you and I, or modern Americans, take for granted. They weren't able to practice their views. But as I said, the main thing that I realized, or that I took away from the video, was that fundraising is key. With only 2% of the GDP going to donations, obviously, if we have larger fundraising campaigns, we can reach a vaster audience. again, he mentioned how it is immoral for us, and even it sounded as though illegal for nonprofit organizations to engage in advertising. To me, this was really odd because at late night you'll be watching, cable TV, and you'll see advertisements for the International Fellowship of Jews and Christians. And in these commercials, which are essentially just commercials, they're showing their cause, and they're appealing to our heartstrings and asking for donations. Is that not advertisement? Is not what Sally Struthers spoke about advertisement? You remember from the 90s? That being said, Coca-Cola spends more money on advertisement than any other soft drink company. However, they are also the most successful. So again, in fundraising, which is essentially the nonprofit sector's counterpart to advertisement, fundraising is key, and money must be spent in order to procure new funds. Thank you.